What are the things you wish school had taught you about understanding yourself, life, relationships, and health, so that each day you could develop to become the person you know you could be? Unlock your potential and live the life that you want.
Well, luckily for you, you don't need to go back to school, because mum and daughter Jane and Liv are coming to the rescue. We welcome you to the School Run podcast, where every day is a school day, and we open your world to the things that school didn't teach you. Are you ready to become the best version of you? Well, everyone, you've heard the new opening, and for people that have listened before, you're probably thinking, why is Liv starting this episode and not Jane? Well, we're coming into like a new era of the School Run podcast. We're making some big changes, which we are going to announce in this episode. But before we do, if you've never listened before, hi, I'm Liv, I'm 17 years old, and my mum is my co-host.
I'm Jane, I'm mum to Liv, and we started this podcast in February 2023. It's been over 85 episodes of a fantastic journey where we've interviewed guests, we've brought them along, we've listened to their wisdom, who their teachers and mentors have been, what they'd go back and tell a younger person. We've done some episodes ourselves. We've had over 12,000 listeners. It's been a privilege, but it's time to change it up.
It felt so weird me saying, hi, I'm Liv, I'm 17, because usually you do that. But we're going to first, before we announce our big changes, we're going to do a little catch up, because we know that you guys all love when we give you a little catch up of what's been going on in our lives recently. So Mum's made this big list. So prepare yourself, everyone.
I'm the person who likes a list. Anyone else out there love a list? It means I can just tick through it and I don't forget anything. That's why I do it. We've done this little section because we just want to not change everything in this first episode for you. For those that listen to us every week, it'll feel weird if we suddenly really swap everything. So you've had a new opening.
Don't worry, by the way, we are still saying the same. It's still Jane and Liv. We're not like bringing Anton, even though I know a lot of people would actually love my stepdad to come on and probably be a co-host as well. But that's not happening.
No, it's still going to be me and Liv. But we wanted to give you a little piece of what you're used to, which is a roundup of what we've been doing in life. And that will help to shape some of the future episodes. However, so let's just go back, because you'll forget that the last episode we did together was before you went on your first family holiday.
Really?
What have the holidays been like?
So, if you knew, I went on 2 family holidays this year. I've had 2 major knee surgeries. So, my first family holiday, which was with my dad's family, which I've never been on holiday with my dad before. There was 34 of us because my dad is the eldest of 9 children. I'm the eldest of 14 grandchildren. So you could say it was a big holiday. But I didn't know with my surgeries I'd be able to go on that one. So my grandma, my mum's mum, who has actually been on the podcast, by the way, you can go and listen to her episode if you'd like to. She said, well, Liv, we're going on holiday, so we'll put you on our holiday in case, you can't go on your dad's holiday. Anyway, lucky for me, I got to go on both. So they were both very, very different, but I loved them both because obviously I love my family and I was with my family the whole time. And I had a really good summer, actually.
But what's it like being on holiday with 34 people?
Well, as you can imagine, it's a bit hectic, but it's really lovely. I'm a very I like to observe people when I'm in a situation like that, and especially with such a big family, you're obviously closer to some of them, and then not close to others as well. So like I'm really close to my dad, my grandma, my aunties, but then a few of my uncles I'm not really that close with. So to have us all there all at one time, which has never ever happened before, obviously because there's so many of us. I just like to see all the different, what people's like kind of relationships are with each other, different parenting styles, what are they like? So I actually found it quite interesting as well.
And you built relationships with those people that you didn't know that well.
Yeah,
Like, you know,
that's
lying on
true.
a sun lounger just having conversation is a deepening of a relationship, isn't
Yeah.
it?
So I did get to know some of my family even more, which sounds a bit weird, but when there is that many of you and you don't really see each other a lot, then you know it is about making those relationships. Whereas my other holiday, there's only like 13 of us, so we're all very, very close. So we just had a good laugh. It was so fun.
So, 2 holidays. We had a day in the summer, which I don't know if you can remember, but we recorded 2 podcasts on that day. One with Imogen Ayres, which came out, which was about her journey to becoming a doctor, but then pivoting and going into biomedical science. That was a really fabulous episode that came out in August. And we had an episode with Pat Henshaw from Colour Me Beautiful, who was a wonderful lady with 36 years of wisdom in the career that she's currently in with Colour Me Beautiful. But that day we had no electricity. What was it like as a young person living in a house with no electricity?
My gosh, that was so fun. I saw you wanted a cup of tea and you had to heat the milk on the hob in a pan.
No, the water, not the
Oh
milk.
yeah, the water, not the milk. You had to heat the water in a pan on the hob. I thought, oh my gosh, we're going back to like the 1600s here. I actually thought it was really cool. I usually charge my phone at night, not in my room, which is our like new rule thing, to not have your phone in your room when it's charging at night. And my phone had obviously died because there was no charge. And it was so interesting how many times in the day I would kind of like just reach for my phone and like turn it on and then realize it's dead. So it actually shows you kind of like what your habits are. Is actually quite funny.
And no TV.
Mm-mm.
No, everything you thought of, it's like, oh, I can't do that because there's no electricity.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't do that because there's no electricity. It was really bizarre.
Yeah, it was so weird.
It was odd to live almost be in a different era for a day.
Yeah.
Thank goodness it came back on. Simply because I had a wedding that day, and that meant having to go to the neighbours next door
To have a
to have a
shower.
shower and to dry my hair, because obviously no electricity to dry my hair. It was just really interesting and appreciative of the modern comforts that we have in 2024. We then went to your knee surgery appointment, and we were a little bit late arriving to the knee surgery appointment that week because there'd been lots of traffic on the road. So we rang ahead and said, I'm really sorry, I'm going to be late. So we did have a little bit of a wait in the waiting room when we got there. Normally we're like straight in to see Mr. Barkatali. When we were sat in the waiting room, you just turned to me and you said, Mum, this is really weird. Like, this is our last time seeing him.
Yeah, because I've seen my surgeon 7 times for all the, MRIs, the pre-operations, the actual surgery, the 6 weeks, the 12 weeks, post-operation. So I was like, Mum, this is the last time I'm ever going to see him. And I was actually quite sad because he's such a legend. I actually love him. And then we actually got in the room and found out, guys, it's not the last time I'm going to see him. And I was so happy about that.
Well, I don't know whether you should get happy about seeing a surgeon, but he is a great surgeon. So you're still having difficulty. You can't kneel down on your knees.
Well, the one that was done first, which has metal in, every time I run, every time I jump, which is obviously important in netball, you can feel, it doesn't sound that nice. You can feel the metal pushing down on your bone, and I actually can't kneel down properly because the metal pushes against my bone. So what I said, I asked him about that, and I said, will that always be there? And he said, well, it won't always be there, but I think you should have another surgery for me to take that metal out. And I said, all right, well, I wasn't expecting that one.
And I definitely wasn't expecting that one, but I guess it's a bit like removing the scaffolding. So the metal's been there to help the bone fuse together, and now the bone has fused together, so it's time to take the scaffolding away, the metal away.
He said in the future, because you saw high risk for another surgery because you've had these ones, if you let that bone grow over the metal, that's going to be an extremely complicated and dangerous surgery to do. So really, within the next 12 months, I need to be taking that metal out So if you do have any surgeries in the future, it's obviously a lot easier. And then obviously you'll be able to kneel down properly, jump and run and all that. So that's what's happening in October half term, October the 22nd. I'll be having hopefully my third and final surgery.
Hopefully the final time that we see Mr. Bilal Bakatali. But what I will say is in his notes, he always writes to the GP after you've had a consultation. And in his notes, he said that he was very pleased with Liv's recovery and he would be delighted to come on the School Run podcast. So watch this space, because we're going to have the surgeon, the man who's done all of this amazing work on Olivia's knees, join us. He is a lovely gentleman, and I know that my mum is very excited for him to come on. She keeps asking, when's that episode? But we have to fit it into our new structure. We'll come on to that in a little while. We went to a Thai restaurant with your friend. We surprised her.
My friends. So she was 17, my friend from America, who I met last year. It was a birthday, and I was trying to think what I could do for her, because for me, right, love languages, I'm not really a gifts person. I prefer like quality time and words of affirmation. I don't actually know what her love languages is. I should probably get her to do the little thing so I know.
There's a little quiz that you can do online. We did an episode on love languages quite a few episodes ago now, on how you feel appreciated and loved, and therefore you should also know what someone else's love language is so that you can show them love in the way that works for them. And yours is time with people
and words
of affirmation. I think words is probably higher than time for you. For me, it's touch and time.
So I thought, I won't get her a gift. If I get chocolate, it's gonna disappear very quickly. But so I thought, oh my gosh, she loves Thai food. When I first met her, I made this long list of like everything she liked, where she's never been before, all the things she wanted to do since moving to England, because she only moved to England last year. So she was all new. She was like, what's the Trafford Centre? I was like, you've never been to the Trafford Centre before? She didn't know what a chocolate Easter egg was, because they like paint hard-boiled eggs in America. So she had her first Cadbury's chocolate egg at Easter. So we took her to this Thai restaurant, and it also has on a Friday and a Saturday a live singer who does like soul music, like Aretha Franklin and soul, and there's another word for it that I can't remember. And this guy walks around singing to you, and there's also a magician, and the Thai food is so good. So she really enjoyed it, which was very nice.
Because Thai was obviously on a list of things that she loved.
Thai food.
She loves Thai food, which is great. We then went off to Liverpool to record a podcast. So as we're recording now, there's an episode out. So, last week's episode, if you go back and listen to it, is with a lady called Yvonne Filler. And it was really interesting, this
very
this
good episode. Actually, one of my favourites, I think.
Was it?
Yeah.
So Yvonne is a marketing strategist, and the whole episode opened with Liv saying, what is a marketing strategist? Because we're all about questioning the job careers and finding out about different routes when you're an adult. And Yvonne went on to describe that. It was an incredible episode about how companies can have social impact on things like homelessness, poverty, different areas of impact, not just the environment. And it was a fascinating episode. But online, she lives down in Surrey, so we only managed to record half of it, and that was in January this year. And so what we did is, she was coming up to Liverpool because they're big fans of Liverpool Football Club, and she was coming up with her boys for a couple of days. So Liv and I travelled over to Liverpool to meet with her to record the final part of the episode.
And but I feel like you're not really describing the episode that well, because you're saying it's just a marketing strategist. We talked about that for a little bit, but then she was also like a relationship therapist, so she talks about different relationships, because she used to help couples with their relationships, and we also was talking about her like navigating that, and both our love of running and netball and all things like that. So it's not just about business, everyone. It's a lot more than that. It was very interesting.
Yeah, so I'd encourage you to go back to that episode. It's last week's episode.
Hi everyone, we hope you're enjoying this episode so far. We're just cutting in to say, if you're enjoying our podcast, please click the follow button on whichever platform you're listening on. And please leave us a review. We'd be so grateful for your support and feedback. Podcasts are free to listen to, but if you are loving our school run chats and debates, please consider buying us a virtual coffee. The link will be in the description of every podcast episode, and it will also be in the bio of our Instagram, which is @theschoolrun_official. And why not give it a follow while you're there, so you can see all the updates and get sneak peeks at upcoming episodes. Thank you so much and happy listening.
I went to watch Mrs. Doubtfire in London with my network, Little Voices family network of franchisees. We had a fabulous day. I highly recommend that show. I have to say, I was a bit on the fence. I was going because I wanted to be with the people and have the day out.
And have the chat.
I wasn't sure about the actual content in terms of Mrs. Doubtfire, but actually it was off the scale brilliant.
Because the film is actually so good.
Well, you know, when you've got that lead character, Robin Williams, I mean, it's just...
Do it like a lady, na-na.
Absolutely, but I've got to say that the musical in the West End was superb. We did a little trip to Glasgow.
We did. We went to Glasgow. That was really fun, actually.
What did you think about it when I said we're going to Glasgow?
I've never really been. Do you like when people say they do like city breaks? Yeah, I've never done that before. And I was a bit like, is it going to be that good? Is it just going to be like walking around Manchester? Because I've done that before. But actually, I got to Glasgow and it's actually so nice. Everything's on that one street and the buildings, and it's like, who's ever seen a Nando's in like an old, you know, gorgeous, massive building? Like, I haven't. I thought it was really awesome. And oh my gosh, the accent. I kept just like moving closer to people that were speaking the Glaswegian accent because it was so cool. But I had a very good time.
Yeah, so I studied up there, did my Masters in Glasgow at the Royal Scottish Academy of Music and Drama. It's now called the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland. So I took you to see that building, which I spent every day for 2 years going into. I do love Glasgow. Some people prefer Edinburgh, but for Glasgow, for me, is very raw. It's very rustic. It's very real. The people are real.
And it's built like a square. It's built like a cube. All the streets are literally like in lines together. It's actually like very cool.
Yeah, it's a complete grid. The whole city is a grid. So the streets are either vertical or horizontal. There's no bends, or it's really fascinating when you look at it on a map. And all the roads in the city centre sort of meet on each other. It's fascinating. It is a grid. And we had a fabulous day together. We had a Temple Spa party. Obviously, we've had the founder of Temple Spa on our podcast in January this year. We always have these. Marie comes round to do one of our spa days at home where we can have a facial and relax and be with friends.
Scones and brownies.
And lemon drizzle and coffee and walnut cake. We had a fabulous day then. And it's just another deepening of friendships and relationships. We do things with people to create memories for ourselves, but also to deepen our connections with people.
Yeah, that is very true. We usually have about like 8 to 12 people, I guess, there with us. You know, my grandma comes, my aunties, Rachel Haslam, what a legend. She always gets a little shout out as Rachel Haslam. If you don't know who that is, then I'm like, where you living? Episode 6, Director of Awesomeness. Just go and listen to it. I'm pretty sure it'll probably change your life in some way. So, she's always at our family functions from now on because we always have such a great time with her. And lots of other people as well. And it's just really nice because it's very chill. You know, no one's wearing makeup because you're having a facial. And it's just lovely.
It really is. And then the final 2 things to just do a catch up before we go into why we're changing, what we're doing, how the School Run podcast is going to navigate from here. You've started back at college.
I have.
And you've landed yourself 2 jobs as well as the podcast.
That is actually so true. So in second year of college, obviously it's A-level. So everyone at college, they try and, you know, advise you not to get a job or to work less, obviously to focus on studying. Well, I just decided going into second year to just get 2 jobs because it's me, and I like to make life not easy, because why could life be easy when it could be harder, and it's just better. So I did start my second year A-level, my A-levels are this year, woo woo. And to be honest, my friends who I don't see anymore, who live in Clitheroe where my high school was, they actually came over because I don't get to see them that much anymore, and they come usually for like a 2-day sleepover, so they get to stay like a long time. And my friends are very, very intelligent. My friend got like an 8 A-star stars and 2 A-stars in her GCSEs. Like, she's unbelievable. And she comes into the office where all my stuff is for college. She's like, Liv, this is an absolute tip. Like, this needs to be sorted out. You start in college in like 3 days and look at it. And I was like, yeah, I know. So she grabbed up, they grabbed all my stuff, took it downstairs, and they organised it for me. Because obviously last year I was off for 8 weeks, and I didn't, honestly, all my frees, I didn't spend doing any homework. I just chatted to my friends the whole time. And I'm not using the excuse of my surgery, because I think that doesn't say it all, because I really did not do that much work last year. So they were like, Liv, you are really intelligent. You just need to do it. So they got all my stuff, organised it all into my subjects, made a list of everything I needed to do, all my revision things, and then they made me a really nice like revision plan for every single day. And I voice message them every day about like if I followed it, the work that I've done, which is really lovely. I'm very grateful for those friends, because if not, I would have started the start of the year in just like not knowing what to do. Whereas now I'll revise every day, do my homework on the first day, like feeling a lot more productive because of those friends. I'm very grateful for those friends. And I went off on a bit of a tangent there, which if you're new here, you'll realise that I actually do quite a lot before I get to my point. So yeah, I did get 2 jobs, one in a cafe and one in a tea room, which I started both of them when this comes out 2 weeks ago, my first shifts. And do you know what? My favourite part of like, in the cafe, I love making the coffees and I like doing all that. My favourite part is talking to the people, because I just love it. I just love chatting to the people that come in. Hi, how's your day going? What would you like to drink? I just love it. And I was a bit nervous because it's the same cafe that I used to work at, and I didn't really enjoy working there. The past people who owned it weren't very chatty, and I'm a very chatty person, and I used to be kind of like dreading to go to it. So I was a bit nervous to like go back when it switched owner. And the thing I was worried about most with the both jobs were that I'd actually be working with people that, are nice and that are chatty and that are like me. And luckily, both jobs, the people that I work with are lovely, and they're teaching me what to do, and they're really nice. So yeah, very happy about that.
So what's your motivation for having these jobs? Why do you need the jobs? What's the motivation for doing them?
Well, I do have a car now, so I do actually need to get some money to put in my car, and also to save some as well, when I'm 18, and investing into, these accounts that you sent me a video of. So yeah, just to like save it, and yeah. And to be honest, I just like talking to the people.
Well, that's really good. So, onwards now. Are you ready?
Dun, dun, dun!
To know what's happening to the School Run podcast? Over to you, Liv.
Over to me. So I actually did come up with the idea to kind of change it a little bit. So if you've never listened before, or even if you have listened before, we tend to do probably about maybe like 5 guest episodes in a row, and then we do kind of one like this, where it's just me and Mum talking about everything that's going on. We talk about some past episodes and things like that. Now, for me, I love all the guests we've talked to. I've loved talking to them all, but also once I've come back from college and we've got a recording and I'm like thrown in, which Mum always says, which I love talking to new people. But I also think when we get feedback, everyone's like, we love you and we love Liv and Jane, like we love these two. And we were like, and they only hear us like once every 6 weeks, just us two talking about our conversations, because we always said it's about the conversations that we had on the school run, but we actually only talk about the conversations we had on the school run probably like every 6 weeks. So we are changing it
because we've listened to the feedback, and because people want to hear more of me and Liv. They love that dynamic. And actually, if they've loved an episode with us talking about love languages or personality styles or what we think about transgender sport, then they can actually go back to previous episodes and listen to other episodes on other topics that we've discussed. Whereas when we have guests, it's absolutely fabulous. We learn lots.
We do.
Our listeners love listening to some of the guests. However, all of the guests that come on bring a new following of people, but they don't really know me and Liv, and therefore they don't go back and listen to previous episodes. So we've really tried to think about how we make the School Run podcast binge worthy. We want the School Run podcast to be like an episode of Friends. I've listened to that one. I've watched that one. I want more of this.
Yeah.
And to go back or forwards with us listening to more episodes. So that will need you to start talking about us even more. Like if you've loved an episode, recommend it to a friend. You can literally go on the app and just click the share button, and it can share directly to WhatsApp or your email or whatever, and send it to a work colleague, send it to a mum, send it to a daughter that's, maybe having, tricky times or wants to navigate something, or that you think that it'll be particularly helpful, so we can create our following.
Yeah, and we looked at all the stats of all our episodes, and we looked at the ones that, people loved the most. And it was always an episode about learning something about yourself, or something that you could take into your life to make your life better, to make yourself better, like personal development kind of things. When we looked at that, everyone was loving those episodes. So we're kind of altering not what we're about the same thing, but we're kind of changing it so that all our episodes are kind of surrounded around the same thing. Like we said, so that when people come and we're talking about a topic, they know that the next one or previous ones are gonna be pretty similar on the same like wavelength.
Yeah, it's gonna help you to develop the best version of yourself, whatever that looks like, and it'll be the things that you don't learn in school and wish you had.
Yeah.
Now, for those people who love our guest episodes, don't worry. We're going to still be bringing the odd guest once a month along with us. And those guests, so we've got a huge list of potential guests. It just means that it's going to take a long time for you to hear some of those. And they're still going to share with us what they wish they'd learnt at school, etc. And it will just help to shape helping you more.
Yeah.
So give us some background, Liv. What's the research you've done?
I actually did this in Starbucks, right? I was feeling very motivated, and I was sat in Starbucks with my caramelized latte, and I was writing about the school run USP.
You love a caramel iced latte.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And do you know what? If you love our episodes, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/the school run and buy Liv a caramelized latte. You just literally stick like a $5 on there, or a $10 or $50, 2 coffees or the virtual coffees, and then we get to go to Starbucks and plan more exciting episodes.
Like I was doing here.
Just a little plug there. If you're just loving what we do, you could go to www.buymeacoffee.com/the school run, and there you'll be able to just buy us a coffee. Anyway, over to you.
Oh, thank you. So I was doing the school run, what makes us unique. Now, right now, not a lot makes us unique. Us two, we make it unique because we're mum and daughter. We've got 2 different generations talking about something. But like we said, they don't really hear our, things. So, and all our topics, because we have so many different guests coming on, which is so amazing because we learn so much. We're not like a business podcast, or we're not like a sport podcast, or we're not we've not got like a niche. So therefore, when people come and listen to us, our episodes are so different that those people might only stay for one episode and then they might leave because the next one's about sport and they're not interested in sport. So I searched up. I was trying to search up what are the things maybe we could cover that's still very broad but along the same line. So I researched what personal development is, because this is both something that me and Mum are very interested in. You listen to lots of podcasts about personal development. I also have quite a few books about personal development, and actually we just love talking about it. And the episodes that we've done with those guests have actually also been our like most listened to episodes, because you guys have obviously loved it too. We've got V from the Olive Jar, people loved that one, Rachel has them, and so many more. So personal development, everyone, for a little bit of research. This is the first time I've turned up to a podcast recording and I've got the notes and Mum actually doesn't have the notes. I'm feeling very proud of myself right now. Personal development is split into 5 things. So you've got mental, social, spiritual, emotional, and physical.
Let's just read those again, because if you're driving along or you're walking along, you need those to land for you.
Yeah.
So personal development and your self-awareness comes from
mental development, social development, spiritual development, emotional development, and physical development. And people think personal development, it's just, me becoming more confident in myself or loving myself more, which that's actually what I thought until I searched it up and found what it actually meant. And I thought, do you know what? This is great because we can talk about all these different things in so many different ways. And we also added actually a question, which I think will have already come out last week. If you heard last week's episode, there was a new question that we came up with, which is one thing that you wish school would have taught you. Now, when we ask that question to a guest, what we've decided to do is then actually do like a little episode about that topic. So if you go, I'm not going to tell you what last week's was because you're going to have to go and listen to it to find out. But what Yvonne talked about, we're going to do not a massive one, but just a little short episode about that topic. Research it and find that thing that you wish school would have taught you, but they didn't. So that's what I researched, and I really hope that everyone likes it.
I think they will. And there'll be an opportunity for people who want to learn more about a topic to go to our private podcast channel. So you'll be able to pay for an exclusive, like £1.99, to hear further, deeper insights into the topic that we've released. There'll still be the weekly topic that comes out on a Monday, still the weekly episode of the School Run podcast, but there'll also be a private channel for those hardcore fans that want to learn even more.
And for that question that the previous guest may have asked, what they wish they would have taught you, they would have learned in school that we're going to talk about, will also be on there. So if you do want to get that insight into
what our opinion is,
then that will also be on there as well.
So what do you think? Can you send us some feedback on this? Could you leave us a review? Could you buy us a coffee if you think, yay, Jane and Liv, you're smashing it. We're totally going to share your episodes. We love the changes that you're making. So ultimately, more episodes of me and Liv, less guest episodes, more carefully crafted based on self-development and an added question. So you'll still have one thing you'd like to tell your younger self. You'll still have a teacher or mentor who's inspired you. You'll still obviously have the school run memory. And then one thing that you wish school would have taught you but didn't. It wasn't available to you.
So yeah.
There you go. We are looking forward to getting started. You'll see us next week, or hear us next week, with the first of those topics, and we look forward to it. Thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Please share the episode.
Please.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode of the School Run podcast. We absolutely love doing the podcast. Podcasts are free to listen to, but if you'd like to buy us a virtual coffee, we'd be really, really grateful. You just need to go to www.buymeacoffee.com/theschoolrun. That's buymeacoffee.com/theschoolrun. You can also follow us on Instagram at theschoolrun_official or TikTok with the same name at theschoolrun_official. And we always really appreciate your reviews and feedback. On the platform that you're listening to, you can review our podcast and give us a star rating. We'd love to have your comments and receive your feedback. Thank you so much for being a massive support of our journey.